The 2021-22 A-League men's season kicks off in just 2 weeks, so here's my ladder prediction for the upcoming campaign. We're going to start at the bottom, and picking up the wooden spoon in the A-League this season, I've got Wellington Phoenix. And, I do feel for Phoenix this season. It has been tricky in terms of where they'll be playing their games. They are spending the first couple of months down in Wollongong with the aim to return to New Zealand by January, and ultimately this has really impacted their recruitment. They've lost so many major names this season when you look at the Johnny Warren medal winner Ulysses De Vere to Stephen Taylor, who's retired this season, Cam Devlin and Tom Mohamed, two massive departures as well. In terms of imports, Gary Hooper's the biggest name that they have brought in. He's returned for his second stint at the club, but apart from that, it's not looking good for Phoenix this season in my opinion. Ufuk Talay is a good coach and they do have good players still there in Rennie Piscopo and David Ball, but I think they're really going to fall away this season, Wellington. Coming in at second last on the ladder, and this is maybe the first hot take of this ladder prediction, I've actually got Adelaide United. The Reds lost some first team players over the off-season, some key defensive names in Ryan Strahan and Jordan Elsey. Tommy Urich has also left the club, and their recruitment has been okay. George Blackwood and Jacob Tratt have joined the club. Isaias is back in the A-League, but the real question mark for Adelaide this season is up front and also in defense. Up the top, is it going to be Cassini Yengi leading the line? Perhaps George Blackwood could have a big season this year as well. And defensively as well, Adelaide will be hoping to find some consistency this year in that back line. But when you put their squad on paper up against some of the other squads in the A-League this season, I don't think they're going to cut it. I think they'll miss out in the 6 this year. In 10th spot, I've got Brisbane Roar. While Brisbane have retained some of their key first team players in Jay O'Shea, Tommy Aldred, Scott Neville, they have lost some big attacking players. Their front three from last season, Joey Champness, Dylan Wenzel-Halls, and Riku Danzaki have all left the club, and that's going to be a big concern for Raw fans this year. Nikola Milejuznic and Matty Stoneman return to the A-League this year at the Raw, and I'm also really interested to see how Argentine striker Juan Lozano goes. But again, I just think in terms of overall quality, I reckon they'll drop away this year. In 9th spot, and for me, this is the hardest team to predict, and it's because they've made so many changes. It's the Newcastle Jets. The defensive signings of Dane Ingham, Jordan Elsey, and Matty Yerman are really solid acquisitions, but it's going to be fascinating seeing how their foreign players go gelling into this Jets squad, especially in attack. A lot of these players that they have brought in from overseas are attacking players, so it's going to be a new look frontline for the Newcastle Jets this year. We are hearing exciting things from the Jets this season, and they do have the potential to push into the top 6, but I think they might just drop out again this year. In 8th spot, I've got Western United, now coached by John Aloisi. They have brought in some big European players, Alexander Prijovic, Rennie Krin, Leo Lacroix. These players who will be bringing their European experience will be linking up with some players who are bringing A-League experience in Jamie Young, Nikolai Topper-Stanley, and Neil Kilkenny. I think Western United will have a lot more stability this season. We saw in the A-League last year. They really dropped away, especially for the second half of the campaign. And again, a side that probably does have the potential to push into the top 6, but for me, they're not cracking it this year. In 7th spot, just missing out on the finals this year, I've got Daniel Sturridge and Perth Glory. And while Sturridge is, of course, the biggest news story in the A-League this season, people are very skeptical in terms of how he's going to perform at A-League level. Can he stay injury-free for the whole campaign? If he does stay injury-free, 100% they could make the finals. I could definitely see Sturridge tearing it up in the A-League week in, week out. And on top of that, they've made one of the signings of the off-season for me in Brandon O'Neill returning to captain the side. But overall, I think the squad is just lacking the quality to push into the top 6 this year. And of course, Diego Castro, a massive loss as well. Here's where we get into the top 6. And just sneaking into the final series this year, I've got my Central Coast Mariners. I think it's going to be very hard for us to match the success that we had last year. Alan Stajic, of course, taking us to 3rd spot in the A-League last season against all odds. And it's less about the Mariners losing quality and dropping away this year. I think it's more about the teams that are ahead of us just strengthening so well. But I do like the signings that we have brought in. Nikolai Muller, probably the most high-profile signing that we have made for a number of years. Keeping up for Cy Goddard, Benny Cololo, and Mateus Maresh as well. In 5th spot, and this team is going to be a very interesting one to watch for me this year, I've got MacArthur FC. And to be honest, I've had to put them into the top 6 based off the big names that they have brought in the off-season. Johnny Warren medal winner, Ulysses De Vere, Tommy Urich, Danny De Silva, Craig Noon. The names go on and on. Again, question marks in defense, especially after losing Mark Milligan, their captain from their inaugural season, Benyat and Shushayata as well retiring, and losing star goalkeeper Adam Federici late in preseason has been a blow for the Bulls. But based on the quality that they do have in the squad, there's no reason why MacArthur can't finish in the top 6 this year. In 4th spot, I think there's plenty of reasons to be excited about Western Sydney Wanderers this year. They've made some fantastic signings. Tom Mohamed Mehmet, Dimitri Petratos up top. They've strengthened with the likes of Terry Antonis, Reece Williams, Adama Traore. Plenty of depth in this Wanderers squad as well when you consider they already have players like Steven Ugarkovic, Keanu Backus, Ziggy Gordon. So many big names in this Wanderers side. And looking at the squad on paper, I reckon this Western Sydney side has the potential to really challenge towards the top of the A-League this year. But again, we've said that in previous years where this Wanderers squad looks really good, but they've ended up disappointing and dropping away each year. But keep an eye on the partnership of Dimitri Petratos and Tom Mehmet this season up front for the Wanderers. Petratos topped the assists in the A-League just 2 years ago, and at Wellington Phoenix last year, Tom Mehmet showed once he gets into a positive run of form, he can be a deadly goal scorer at A-League level. In third place, I'm expecting massive things from Tony Popovic and Melbourne Victory. In my opinion, Tony Popovic is probably the perfect coach to bring in at this current time at Melbourne Victory. When you look at Pop's track record, in his last 2 opening seasons with new A-League clubs, he's taken them to premierships both times, 2013 with Western Sydney Wanderers and 2019 with Perth Glory. And there's plenty of reasons to be optimistic when you look at their playing squad this year as well. They of course got rid of a lot of those players who just didn't perform last year and have brought in some great signings. Jason Davidson, Jason Geria, Matt Sporanovic, Chris Economides also linking up with Tony Popovic once again. Josh Brillante is back in the A-League, and again, interested to see how Italian striker Francesco Margiotta goes up front. But I think the key factor about these squads who I do see finishing towards the top of the ladder is that they have awesome squad depth. You know, Victory have brought in so many quality players, but they've also retained a bunch of youngsters who were showing decent signs, especially towards the back end of last season for Victory. So keep an eye for some of the young players coming through as well at Melbourne Victory. In second place, Sydney FC is a very safe bet. I have seen some talk online of people expecting Sydney FC to drop away this year considering their aging squad. But I think the new signings that they have made, and they haven't made too many, really balance out the squad. Max Burgess, Connor O'Toole, Elvis Campsober, all relatively young players who have joined the Sydney FC squad will really add a new dynamic. And the only real major departure has been Ryan McGowan, but he's been replaced with James Donachie. There is no reason why Sydney FC shouldn't finish at least in the top 4 this year. And claiming the premiership once again this year, it has to be Melbourne City. In my opinion, this City squad is even stronger than it was last year. We really saw Patrick Kisnorbo gel the squad really well last season in the A-League. They have lost Craig Noon, Adrian Luna, 2 of their major departures, but they've been replaced. Matthew Leckie and Italian midfielder Manuel Pucciarelli joining the side. And that front 3, man, Matthew Leckie, Andrew Naboot, Jamie McLaren, has the potential to become the most dangerous front 3 we've seen in A-League history. And again, across midfield and defense, they just have way too much quality. I'd be very surprised to see City finish any lower than second place this season in the A-League. And as a little bonus, I'm going to run through the final series for you now based off my ladder prediction. So, for the elimination finals, Melbourne Victory and Mariners, I think Victory will win it. While I'd love to see my Mariners in a 2-legged semi-final, we just have a terrible track record away in Victoria. I think Melbourne Victory will be too strong. In the other elimination final, I reckon Wanderers will get ahead of Macarthur FC. And that would make for some pretty epic semi-finals in the A-League this season. A big blue Melbourne Victory, Sydney FC. I reckon Victory might just get ahead in that one. And I reckon Melbourne City will be too strong in the end for Western Sydney Wanderers. And that would lead us to a Melbourne derby in the grand final. Will this finally be the year where Tony Popovic claims his first ever A-League championship? We'll have to wait and see. But I'd love to hear your A-League ladder predictions for this season, so jump down in the comments, drop your 1 to 12 for the A-League this season. And make sure you hit subscribe if you want regular A-League content this season.